Okay, let me now.
Okay,
How do I
it's
take it back? Let me see. Okay, perfect.
See, this is, I love it. All right, Timmy, over to you.
all right. Welcome everybody to this session. Thank you once again for spending this time with us. We really appreciate you being here. So I'll just take us through the agenda so you know what to expect. So first, introduction, which is what I am pretty much doing, and then opening remarks by the host. Then we'll get straight into the conversation, and then we'll have a Q&A session with Chidi, and then borderless updates. Please stay till when we're done because we have some information, especially if you're a founder or you're an investor. Please stay behind. We have really interesting stuff to share and also events that we have coming up. So our guest today is Chidi Ashley. Um, we have Chidi here today because she has a wealth of experience investing in assets in Africa, and I'm really excited about this session. I can't wait to hear everything. So she's going to be sharing with us what her experience has been investing from diaspora, also building Luxe Tribes, which is one of the biggest travel luxury communities in Africa. And she's also building Nuru Marrakesh, which is a luxury hotel in Morocco. And she's actually working with Raised by Borderless, which we'll talk about later on. But let me leave that, So we're basically just learning from her experience, stories, lessons learned rather, mistakes as well that we can all learn from. So over to you, Joe.
Thank you, Timmy. Thank you for the kind introduction. It's such a pleasure to have Chidi here today. I think, like, I've never heard of Chidi, and then like five different people introduced me to Chidi all at the same time, including me meeting her sister when I was in Lagos last month. And I think we're supposed to have like, I don't know, like a 30 minutes chat, and it went on for way too long, but we had a great time. And I think I'm nearly part of the family, not fully adopted just yet.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, and when I got introduced to Chidi, first it was through one of our collective members called Regina. She was like, "You have to learn about this." I'm like, okay, cool. And then at the same time, my co-founder Newbie also like, "Have you heard of this?" And I'm like, okay, I have to speak to Chidi. So Chidi and I spoke about a month ago,
Yeah.
and I think it was literally 5 minutes into the call, which was like, "Hey, Chidi, would you like to be my first ever guest of In Conversation?" And this is one of our Borderless Sessions. Essentially, we want to bring people who are doing amazing things across the continent, across Africa. And surprisingly, many of us are African. So when when we spoke, I'm like, I think people need to hear the story. People need to hear the beginning. I posted about this session in the group chat, and somebody replied like, "Chidi has been doing this for time." I'm like, oh, okay, well, I need to ask you to tell me all about it. But for those who don't know, I'm the founder and CEO of Borderless, and we're really trying to make it easy for the diaspora to invest back home. And I think what Chidi's building is very aligned with our mission. And beyond even the investment, we just thought it was really important for the world to hear Chidi's story. I don't need to tell it because Chidi is already Chidi's online. If you don't follow her already, I think you should. And throughout the session, we'll learn about like how far she's come, what the future looks like, and then we'll probably spend a couple of minutes on her current project, which is Nuru Marrakesh. I love it. I love everything about Marrakesh I've been. And yeah, Chidi, welcome to the first ever Borderless Session.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about it. I always love when people are able to just get together, have good conversations. So excited to dive in.
Thank you. I wanted to go back to the start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you end up in America? Because, like, tell me the backstory. Maybe like people know the Chidi now, but they don't know how you got here, right?
Yeah, of course. So I was born in Canada. I was living in Nigeria with my family growing up as a child, and then moved to South Africa. So I ended up spending a lot of my childhood living in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And then my last 2 years of high school, I finished in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria. So from then, straight from school, went to New York, studied business and economics at NYU, and then finished up and became a business analyst working at a tech company. So that's really the journey. And from then I started my business. So that's kind of like the journey. I think growing up, I was always in different places as a child, and just naturally, I guess it was just ordained that I would end up, doing so many things internationally.
I love it. Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, your sister told me that she also spent time in South Africa. So now I'm connecting the dots.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people know you for Luxe Tribes, which is, your company, like a lot of people have used it. The reviews are great. Like, how did you end up on luxury travel? I think it's such a niche, like, pocket that a lot of people don't get to experience. Like, why luxury? And again, like, I'm sure you have your reasons, but just the nicheness of it.
Yeah. What's interesting is that I never pictured myself, it was never planned to start a travel company. But for many years while I was in college, I was traveling, I would grab my friends, want to travel to different parts of the world. And so that was something I really got into. I always had this vision of like, I would graduate and my life would be over. And so I was like, let me travel as much as I can before that happens, before the corporate world happens, the Goldman Sachs and all of that. And so that's where the travel came in. And so for many years, I was sharing my journey, just traveling. I didn't have many followers. I was just sharing my journey online. And I had built a community of people who were interested in my travels. I was, I had a blog and I would write about my travels. I would share online. That's where the travel came in. Then after I graduated, I decided, and I specifically looked for companies. I was like, well, you know what, does my life actually have to be over? Or am I choosing the companies that maybe don't align with the things that I love? And so I decided to find a company that would give me the flexibility to do, to travel and to do all those things. Ended up working for a startup. And I remember my interview, my final interview, I told them, I want to know what it takes to run a successful company, right? And I really want to get into what is the engine behind this company and what makes it so great. And so in that first job, I kept, I would sit with the head of finance. I would go for drinks with the CEO. So I always knew I was going to start something. I just didn't know how or what it was going to be. And I remember at the end of my first year working at that company, I wanted to travel to Bali. And so I was reaching out to my friends, hey, let's go to Bali. Your first year out of college, no one has money for that. No one has the time, right? And I was like, am I gonna have to go alone, And so I just posted online. I was like, okay, let me just post online and see who wants to come with me to Bali. Again, there's no business idea behind it. It was purely like, I just want to go for fun. So I put up a post about it on Instagram and I put like a form. And within 2 hours, I had hundreds of signups. And so I was like, wow, this is something. And again, it's momentum, sometimes the pieces just start falling into place. Sorry about that. And so, I put up the post, the people started signing up, and then, that's kind of how the business came to be. Excuse me about that.
No, take your time. Take your time.
Let me just go off camera 1 minute and then I'll be back.
Do your thing.
All right, I'm back. Hopefully
Welcome back.
Hopefully it stays in place. I'm trying to tap into my Zanzibari. I'm in Zanzibar right now, so trying to tap into the look. But yeah, so put that out there. People started signing up and I was like, you know what? There's other people that are having this problem. And that's where the travel company started. And for me, I really wanted to deliver experiences that were high end, where, a lot of our customers are Luxe Tribes. They are working professional women, right? They are in high stress jobs. The last thing they want to do when they travel is to stress about the logistics, the planning. And they want someone who has perspective and taste that can make those decisions for them. And so that's where the luxury part came in, is really understanding how to create ease when traveling and to make travel more accessible for people. And so that's how the luxury travel came in, the travel business, and so on.
And for those who don't know, can you share some stats on like how well Luxe Tribe has done to date?
Yeah, of course. We've done about, in the last 5 years, I think we've done about just over $27 million. We are now a team of 30 people. Last year, we acquired another company. We closed a 7-figure deal to purchase another company. So they've now come under the Luxe Tribes banner, which is really exciting. And, across our community, we have over 400,000 people of travelers who are, engaging with us in the community and so on. And so it's really exciting because every year we plan trips for thousands of travelers. And what I've seen as well is we really get to sway the travel trends as well. So if you look at like, for example, Bali, we have brought in millions of dollars every single year to Bali as a destination. And then we start looking at where else can we go? Where are the trends? And then we adjust the way that we market those destinations. We partner with locals on ground, and we're able to bring in a ton of money coming through. And so, we've made a lot of people in different destinations millionaires because of the amount of traffic that we are sending to those specific destinations. Some of our top destinations: Bali, Greece, Cartagena, Colombia, Thailand is another big one. Morocco is another one. And so we do global travel, and we're usually doing group travel as well.
Right. I mean, these numbers are staggering. A lot of tech startups that I deal with, they'll be very envious of your numbers and, the amount of people that you actually engage with. Like, I did not know it was 400,000 people. That's serious numbers. Then now you're bringing all these people to these countries, and I'm guessing that you started noticing some problems. And where I'm going to is your first property in Bali. You literally built a villa. Like for people who haven't been to Chidi's YouTube, you should go right now. Go check it out. Maybe not, in the middle of this session. But the first thing you see is like, Chidi, you literally went to build an entire villa in a whole different country, actually. Please, I need to know every detail. Like, why?
Oh, Lord. Okay, I was 23 at the time. And it feels like so long ago, but it wasn't actually that long ago. But I was 23. I was in Bali. And again, Bali was one of our first core destinations for Luxe Tribes, right? And so, I was looking at how much I was spending, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to pay these people. Like, I can build my own. Again, mind you, I did not know anything about construction. I did not know anything about real estate in Bali, but I was convinced I could build my own villa in Bali. And so I started looking at land and, went on this 2-year journey of building what is now known as Villa Olori in Bali. But I didn't even have a project manager. I completely project managed the entire thing. I would be on site shouting at these people to get things done. I would be like, checklist, the windows are in, the plumbing is done. So in that process, I really, really started to understand what it takes to build a luxury property and what goes into that. But it was really a trial by fire to get that property off the ground. But, that property today is doing 6 figures a year. That property today, I returned my investment within 3 years. And so everything I'm making now is just pure profit. So it was really such a good decision. But I will never forget when I told my dad that I was, this is a trend, by the way. I will never forget when I told my dad, like, I'm going to build a property in Bali. And by this time I'd already bought the land. I usually tend to do things and then tell people because I don't want them to put their fears on me. But he was like, what do you know about Bali? You don't even know anyone in Bali. Like, which auntie, uncle do you have here if something goes wrong? But it was just something that I felt I had to do. And it's now opened the doors for many other projects for me.
And just staying with Bali, how hard was it? Like, was it as hard as you thought it was going to be, or you just underestimate building in a new country? Like, do you have 1 or 2 challenges you can share with us? Because I can't even build in my own country, never mind Bali. So I'd love to know, was it easy to build in Bali? I have no idea.
Absolutely not. The Bali, and I honestly think after that project, I was slumped. Because at some point, I think for at least 4 months, I was living on the sites. Because at some point I was like, let me pack my bags and go and live on this site with these people so I know exactly what they're doing. But Bali was definitely a challenge. And I really underestimated the effort that it takes in terms of the communication barriers, right? In terms of how men perceive taking instructions from women as well, right? And how they tend to try to lowball you. And so when you are a woman and you are coming in hot and saying, this is what I want, this is the standard of what I want, and I'm not going to accept anything less, you're going to have those challenges. I'll never forget, in the middle of the project, I noticed that there were less and less construction workers on the sites. And I'm like, what's going on? Because this guy keeps telling me that, we're making progress, but every time I come, I don't see anything changing. And so this went on for like 3 months. And I'll never forget, I had a meeting with my the head of construction, the developer, and he showed up to the meeting with a Harley Davidson bike. And I said, no, this guy has gone and used my money. He's going to use my money to go and buy himself a bike. I'm not even joking. So that's when I called him out and I said, you don't have the money for my project. You've used my money to go and do other things. And it was true. He actually had taken my money. He didn't have the money. That's why people were not being paid. So they were not showing up to work because they hadn't been paid, right? And so I told him, I'm going to make noise. I'm going to do, just trying to shake him to say, hey, you need to get my money back and finish this project. Ultimately, I put him on a payment plan because I was not going to let this guy go. I went to his house and everything, because I at this point, I had given him hundreds of thousands. I had given him not hundreds of, I would give him like at least half of the project cost. The total project was about 430,000. So he had at least half of that cost. So I put him on a payment plan to recover as much of my money as possible. And in the middle of the project, I switched developers and found a new team and worked with them through completion. So that's also why I decided, I have to be on this site because nothing like that will ever happen again. So yeah.
That's insane. And men, sorry for the men on this call, but men are always trying to take the piss. But yeah, wow. And you moved there. Any advice for people who are trying to do this? Maybe just one advice for people who are thinking about building something in a completely new country. What would you recommend them?
You have to study the destination before you even make the move, right? And before you make that commitment to truly understand, there's one thing about being in a destination as a tourist, and it's another thing to be in a destination as someone who is investing / planning to live there. And so take your time, because where you might go as a tourist is very different from how you might experience the destination in any other capacity. Take your time. A lot of people will tell you a lot of things are possible depending on where you are in the world. And actually in anywhere in the world, they'll tell you everything is possible. Go back and really understand what is actually legal. What are the laws? What are the rules? And for example, with the Nuru Marrakesh, when we're working with architects, a lot of them will tell you, oh, you can have a pool on the roof. It's actually not legal, right? And we're saying, well, if you pay this person and pay this person. But I'm saying to myself, who am I going to be beholden to if I decide to do this thing and pay this person off, right? Because you pay someone off, that roof is always there. So I'm always going to be beholden to someone. So it's really about studying the destination, understanding what is practical, what can happen, and being able to understand the path that you want to walk in that destination. Because, depending on where you're investing, there's sort of they can be a gray area, and you have to decide to walk the right path, right? And it might take you more time, but ultimately it will save you a lot of stress. A lot of people I know who invested in Bali, for example, built on a green zone. And you can see now in Bali, the government is knocking down houses left and right because those houses were illegal, but they were able to get the land cheap during, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And so it's just really about really studying wherever it is that you're going to be investing in. Yeah.
Amazing. So no shortcuts, follow the regulations, and don't pay somebody from the back.
Exactly.
All right. So staying on again, packing your bags, moving to site. It looks like you're about to do it again.
Yeah.
Except this time you're not going to Asia. You're coming home.
Yes.
You're
exactly.
going to Marrakesh, right? And when I heard about Nuru, I was just mind blown. And when you look at the data, Morocco is one of those destinations that everybody goes to. It's actually so close to, if you're flying Ryanair from London or from Ireland to Marrakesh, it's less than $100, right?
Right.
And there's so much that's been happening in Morocco. They're even hosting the World Cup in a couple of years. this is a very obvious question, but like, how did you land on Marrakesh as your next destination?
Yeah. So what was interesting is that, again, like I told you with Luxe Tribes, because we have so much data in terms of where people are traveling, how much are we spending in different destinations? I looked and I said, Morocco is interesting. We're getting a lot of interest in Morocco, and we are getting a lot of, travelers coming in that we are paying for. And one of the things we struggled with in Morocco was accommodation. If you think about like the average trips that we plan is maybe around $4,000, 40% of that at least goes to the hotel. And we always struggled with the right hotel for our travelers, finding a luxury hotel that still brings the culture and so on in that destination. And so we said, you know what, instead of paying all these people, because we were placing our customers in Movenpick and Oberoi and all of these things, instead of paying these hotels to deliver subpar experiences, why can't we build our own? And that was the question. It was like, why can't we build our own again? And so that's how Morocco came to be. But if you look at the numbers, again, Morocco is Africa's top most traveled to destination. The location of it makes it incredible for travelers coming in from Europe, but also, it's usually a lot of Americans' first entry point into Africa. And so that's also quite strategic as well. And it's just a stable overall government. So that was one of some of the things that we looked at to say, this is actually a really great entry point for us. But also, again, like the numbers from Luxe Tribes. I mean, even if we have no other travelers coming in from outside, we already make up, 90% of the occupancy that we need to fill. Most hotels start with building the hotel and then they find the customers. We have the customers, and now we're like, how do we place them in our own properties? And so we're kind of working backwards, but it works for us because we know what to build for what type of customers, and we can fill that demand.
This is incredible because, like, again, as you said, people build a hotel and then go find the customers. You're essentially bringing your own customers. Yeah. All you have to do is get the hotel ready, because your 90% occupancy without like any other bookings, that's incredible. So again, it's not that you're starting this from scratch. You've done it. You've built a whole new villa in a whole different country, and now you're doing it again. But I think you're doing it differently this time, and you are bringing the community along. Can you share a bit around like your fundraising journey? You and I spoke around, just like you have 400,000 people in your community. Like if each one of them give you, I don't know, like $10, that's 4 million. $20, that's 8 million. Like that's incredible numbers. Tell me more about leveraging the community to essentially fund this, because they're going to stay there. They're going to travel anyway, right? Like tell me about leveraging the community, and also like, any challenges that you've, come across as part of this, getting your community involved.
Yeah, I mean, so when I first had the idea for this project, I was thinking, okay, we do what everyone does and look for VCs to fund the project, right? And the institutional VC. And I quickly realized that we didn't really quite fit into any specific bucket that would qualify us. I mean, the average hotel projects that people, the private equity and the VCs would fund is usually like the 50 million mark, right? And it was very hard. I emailed hundreds of people and never got a response. So I was like, okay, well, I'm still going to make this happen. I just need to figure out how. And so I shared a post on social media. And again, it just reminds me of the starting of Luxe Tribes. In a few hours, we had 200 people that had expressed interest to invest in Nuru. One of the people who's investing millions into this project saw a TikTok video, and he, reached out and said, hey, I'm interested in your project. And so it's just so crazy what you can accomplish by sharing your story. And a lot of times people say, don't share until it's done, build in stealth. I do not believe that works. A lot of the people who are investing are travelers. One of the women, she's investing, she has been on 5 of our trips. And so I got on a call with her and I was like, ready to give her the whole talk. She's like, girl, I've been on 5 trips with you by now. Whatever you're doing, you can have my money. I was like, okay, never mind. Let's chit chat. How was your trip to Turkey? So a lot of our travelers, they're so excited because they want to be a part of the next phase of what we are doing. And they've already experienced the standard of what we have built. So, a lot of the checks that we're getting are our customers.
That's amazing. And again, like for what we do, it's a right place, although this is not like a cue to like plug what we do at Borderless. But like it's so powerful to see that your customers want to invest in you. And also, like for somebody to invest in you, they must have had a good experience. Like 5 trips, average trip is $4,000. So she spent at least $20,000 with you having a good time. So like, I don't think it would be so hard for her to invest in the future of what you're building and, the properties, and also like becoming an owner of like the future of Nuru or any other projects that you plan to do. No, it's just fascinating, and I believe in this. But it's so good to see that it's finally like we're doing this at scale.
Yeah.
Any challenges like setting this whole thing up? Like,
yeah, I mean, so that's why I'm packing up and moving to Morocco, because I've now invested in different places, and as I invest in different things, I take the lessons from it. And so one of the things that I know is that to really deliver on excellence, which is what we plan to do, you have to be there. You have to oversee. They have to feel your presence. And so that's why I'm packing up. But I would say when you're coming into a new environment, making the right connections, right? And being discerning enough to know the bullshitters and the executors. And for me, I really start to look at what people say versus what they have done, right? And that can be a challenge, because a lot of people will tell you a lot of different things, and but you look and you say, like, a developer will tell you, oh, we do this and that, and I'm saying, okay, great, let's go check out your property then. You know what I mean? I would love to speak to the last person whose house you built or whose project you built, so it is challenging to make sure that you align yourself with the best people, and then also find the right team. So I'm really excited, because also one of the people who is a partner on the project and that we're working closely with is Willem Smith. And he worked for the Branson family for 10 years, for Richard Branson and his sister, Vanessa Branson. And so he grew that hotel from 600,000 in revenue to 10 million in revenue. And that hotel in the Medina was acquired for 40 million euros last year. And so we're really picking the right people to be part of this project. Villa Alori was little me making things happen, but at scale now, and many years later, it's I'm just a small part of everything that we need to get something like this off the ground.
Yeah. And wait, so Nuru is just the start of something bigger.
Yeah.
Can you maybe reveal where you are right now, and then like what should people expect in terms of like beautiful luxury destinations across Africa, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it's so exciting to say, but also it's like a scary thing to share, because it's such a bold, for me, it's a bold concept. But my goal is to build Africa's top luxury boutique hotel collection, right? Going into destinations and creating signature properties that are African led, and for us to really start to participate in the economy. Because what we've seen, and we were chatting about this in our last call, is that Africa is not owned by Africans. From what I've seen, I mean, in Morocco, I saw 50 properties, and 2 of them were actually owned by Moroccans. The rest were owned by Germans, people from the UK, people from, France. They're completely, I mean, I've yet to see a luxury, not even just luxury, I've yet to see many hotels that are truly owned by Africa. And now I'm in Zanzibar right now. And I'm really excited, because this is going to be our next destination. And our goal is to build a collection of hotels over the next few years. So starting with Morocco, going into Zanzibar, South Africa, and so on. But again, in Zanzibar, you mentioned this, and it's so interesting when you're here on the ground and you're looking and you're saying, we don't own any of this. Like, we really don't. We're not participating in it. So that is something that I think once I started to see that, I said, and again, I love a challenge. So what was meant to be one hotel in Morocco and, wrap it up because, I stepped aside as CEO from Luxe Tribes, and now I'm a strategic advisor. We have a CEO that has now come in. And so I was thinking, I'm going to just rest and have like, a year to just relax. And then I said, okay, I'm going to build a hotel. And then now I'm saying I'm going to build a hotel collection, but it's really because I've seen this and I'm saying, no, I must participate. I must be a part of Africa and the next generation of what we're going to do on the continent.
No, I agree. So what for folks who don't know, I was in Zanzibar twice in August. And the first time, like, I was just like, okay, guys, what's happening? And it was just mostly like I was eating Western food. I could hear Italian. I even wrote about this. I wrote about, like, I have an article called Zanzibar, and it just went into the details around how we don't own any of this. But then when I went back to Zanzibar, and I recommended this lady to Chidi already, I stayed at a hotel that's co-owned by a Nigerian lady. And as a result, I was able to eat jollof. I was able to eat akara. And I'm like, well, if we have more Africans owning like places in Zanzibar across the continent, then we can actually enjoy African food. And the reason why I was always offered pasta is because we don't own any of this. So I'm very excited. And I'd love to know, like, you owning it, you're raising money, you're using your own money. Can people participate? Can the average person participate in? Oh, okay. Somebody's telling me Kenyan Coast has all that. All of that. Okay, I'm guessing it's all of pasta or all of nyamachoma. Honga, you can use the comments. But yeah, like, how can people participate?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely participate and become a co-owner. And, an exciting part of the project is that we do want more people to participate in being, owners and owning things on the African continent. So you can participate as an investor in the project. We are taking checks from $25,000, which is the minimum check size if you want to invest in one of our hotels.
Amazing. But I think we have something else. So for folks who can't afford $25,000, we are actually helping Chidi with one of our products called Raise. Essentially allows the average person to invest. Now we've lowered the threshold, but what we do is we essentially pull all that money together and invest as one company into Chidi. Anybody who signed up, anybody who's on this call, you'll receive an email from us afterwards just to share more about it. So.
Yeah, and I have some people I need to share with you as well. So we definitely need to connect on that because, you're right that the threshold of just getting people involved, even if it's a small amount of just saying, like, making those tiny commitments and letting that build up over time, that it's so impactful.
Awesome. I think you and I have spoken, and I think we've forgotten that there are 64 people on this call. Now, for folks who are on this call, if you have any question, can you please unmute yourself, maybe introduce yourself, and then shoot your question. Or you can raise your hand and I can call you, if that's easier. Yes, Hungai. Hungai is my guy. Go ahead.
Hi, Chidi. How are you? Random question. If you were to do it again, how different would you do things with the knowledge that you have, the experience that you have? What are some of the things think about, like, governance, regulation, local context? How different would you do it if you had to do it again from scratch?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing that impacts the success of a project is the team that you build, and really taking the time to pick the right people that surround you across the project, and judging them again by their work rather than the connections that you have. Oh, this person's friend does this project, or this person has this connection. And so you work with people because of proximity, but not because of the merit of it. And so I think that's something that I would definitely always prioritize moving forward. And I also think, it's important, especially in this context. One thing I really want to do more of, and one thing that we're prioritizing across all of our projects, is really working with locals and giving locals a chance to participate in whatever it is you're building. So finding local artisans, that's something I did a lot in Villa Lori, but I want to do more of, because I think, you know, hotels are a great way to empower the local community if you do it right? Creating jobs, creating access, and so on. And so that's something that I definitely, you know, would want to grow in terms of how I approach things.
That's amazing. Thank you. And Art, over to you.
Hi, Chidi. Thanks very much for this, and Joe as well to facilitate. So I run a VC called Barbara Network, but my interest here is really much around hospitality, which I've done a few things on the side. So I was just curious, your thoughts on, you know, there's been a trend maybe 20 years ago, the mega complex, the mega hotel of this world, and the resort app. You have a lot of them in Morocco, in Tunisia, and whatnot. So I'm just curious, your thoughts perhaps around the boutique hotel. Are you doing this because of cost and focusing on boutique, or you sort of, for the lack of a better word, riding on that trend of small lodges and small boutiques or high experience? So just curious, what are your thoughts and what do you see, I guess, in Africa and also globally, since you have exposure to other markets such as Southeast Asia?
Yeah, of course. You know, what I see for Africa and what I envision. So one of the reasons we started Nuru, and the number of keys that we have, is we're in a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And so the space is limited specifically for Marrakesh, right? If you want to be in that area, very difficult to find the land size that you would need to do something mega. And so in the Medina, you don't tend to get a lot of large players just because of the configuration of that area. But I really think that I really have a soft spot for boutique properties specifically, because of the privacy that you get and the personalization that you get. And that's where the luxury market is leaning, right? Because they want that curated experience, and that experience is led experience, where people are coming in not just to stay, but they want to feel something. So you're seeing, for example, wellness is a big theme, you know, signature experiences through properties is another big theme, and so on. So it's not to say that every hotel is going to be, you know, very boutique, because the goal is to grow. And so as we start to expand and obviously have access to capital, because capital is a constraint, so we do what's within our reach, we prove ourselves, and then we build more. But what I will say is that any property that we do, no matter the size, will have certain themes across them. And so for me, being able to give people space and privacy, have an experience and service-led property, which is really important. I think in Africa, you know, the culture of service has some way to go, right? In terms of training the staff, building a team that understands how to deal with high-end clients, or just how to really be proactive in how they deliver services and so on. And so those are some of the things that we want to tackle, but also designing spaces that are Africa focused and centered, and bringing that modern luxury taste to all the properties that we do.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you, Chidi. Any other questions before we move forward?
Yes, I have a question.
Hi,
Okay,
Ronnie.
hi everyone. Hi, Chidi.
Hi.
So I'm building All Access Guyana. I'm from Guyana, which is in South America, but the landscape is very similar to Africa. So we're a luxury experiences and destination management company in Guyana, and we're entering a rapidly growing oil and gas rich market. But this is not known as your traditional destination with blue waters. So I'm in for a challenge in marketing a destination that isn't usually traveled. And I just wanted to know, if you were me, what would you focus on? Because this is like a new market. It's not even luxurious yet. We're now building, and we're like at the forefront.
Mm-hmm. If I were you, what would I focus on in terms of marketing to new travelers to come into the destination, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So we've had challenges marketing new destinations, right? Like, it's easy to do like the Bali, where everyone knows the Bali swing and you can push travelers. But over time, we've really had that bold thing of like, hey, let's expand and let's enter new markets. And one of the things I look for is, what is the story behind the destination, right? And then finding the travelers that can resonate with that story. And so, you know, leaning into whether it's the history, it's the culture, creating signature experiences, because a lot of travelers, they see one thing, and, you know, that's usually what tends to happen is someone sees one thing and they're ready to book a trip just for that. You know, you'll be so surprised. Like, for example, in Thailand, people see like the floating beach club in Phuket, and they'll put like, hey, this is where I want to go. And so if you can find a few signature experiences and then involve yourself in a way where you can design that experience for which, you know, the travelers coming in, those are some of the ways that you can start to market the destination. And then also telling more of the story around the culture or the why of the destination, right? And really starting to double down on that. And then look into partnering with people who are other storytellers. This is a big thing we've done with Luxe Tribes. If you can find a few people and say, hey, we'll bring you to Guyana, come and experience it and share it with your audience. That's another really great way. So if you can do like some hosted trips where you partner with influencers, they market it to their audience and they bring their audience to that destination and they get like a trip on their own. That's a really great way that you can start to bring people into the market. And then it just takes from there to build that story that makes more people come back.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's very helpful.
Ronnie, you have some influences. You have some influencers here. Me, I don't think I'm micro, I'm nano influencer. We have JJ, who's also an influencer. So if you're looking for micro or nano influencers,
yes. But even like, funny thing is that people want to actually know that story. Like exactly what you said of like, why doesn't anyone travel to Guyana? And then you know, like just tell that story and tell the story of like, you're on a mission to bring more people here and let people follow you. Like, no one needs to know the end. We always think we need to share the end result of like, oh, I made it. But like, show us what it's like to actually market a destination. And you might even start to get partnerships of, you know, hotels and other places that want to work with you, right? And help you on your mission.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ronnie. Chidi, I'm very conscious that it's actually, you are at least 2 hours ahead of us and it's very late and you have a whole family. So we will not keep you here for much longer. Thank you so much for making time for us. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for sharing your experiences and all the advice. I think I'm taking a lot of it, and I can see in the comments that Austin said that he's new to the hospitality and a lot of these are new to him. And I think he shared his LinkedIn because he's working with the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. So hopefully this could be useful. And yeah, I'm super grateful. Any parting words for the audience before I free you?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much again for having me as part of this community. I'm really excited about what you're building. And what you're building specifically is so needed. I think the gap in investing in Africa is the capital. Like for a lot of people, the reason why a lot of people who are coming in from Europe and all these markets are able to invest is because they have more of a competitive advantage in terms of the money is on their side, right? And so they're able to come and dominate the market. And so this platform provides the accessibility that is much needed. So thank you so much, everyone. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Chidi Ashley, on Instagram at Chidi Ashley, YouTube at Chidi Ashley, and everywhere else at Chidi Ashley. So if you have any questions, anything I didn't cover, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to chat with you.
Thank you. And yes, thank you so much for making the time. And we'll be in touch. We'll share all your details in the follow-up email, and we'll make sure to share the link for people who are interested in learning more about your investments with us. You can invest as low as $2,500. And yeah, we will pull all that money together. If you've done stuff with us before, you should know how this works. But if you haven't, I think Timmy will tell you how Borderless actually works. Over to you, Timmy. And again, thank you so much, Chidi.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Oh, well, it's supposed to be me. Okay, right. So for folks who don't know, Borderless, we built Borderless to make it easy for every one of you to invest across collectives. And the way that works is you join a collective, and that collective, or some people know as like investment syndicate or an angel group, And that syndicate essentially brings deals and you get to invest in. If you have been within like our world, you probably know of Hoke or HOAQ, which invest in startups, or you probably have heard of Diaspora House, which invests in real estate, and you're probably part of our community. But those are not the only collective on the platform. We now have 8 collectives. And for folks who are here, you actually get you can dial in yourself. I'll ask Timmy to paste the link. We have a lot of collectives that you can join. And these collectives can do so many things. So whether you're a collective manager or you're an investor, Borderless can actually do so many things for you. Whether you're a new investor or whether you're seasoned, you can find a bunch of investment opportunities on the platform. And the tool that we'll be using for Chidi's current fundraise is a product that we've built called Raise by Borderless. Oftentimes, when founders are raising or builders like Chidi are raising, it's very difficult to collect money from folks around the world. So we are solving that. What Raise does is it helps you to raise from your friends, families, customers. We essentially pull all that money together in a compliant manner. We're regulated in the UK. And then you get to invest or have access to opportunities that you probably didn't previously have access to. So how it works is founders, they will invite their friends, family, customers, clients through one link. So if you're part of this call, you will receive that link in the email that follows. And then we manage the onboarding, the compliance. We collect all the money, pull it in a separate account. And then when the investment is done, we pull the money, send it to the founder. In this case, it will be Chidi. And then we will issue you with investment documents. It's easy, it's compliant, it's clean. And we also want to make Chidi's life easy so that she's not managing 400,000 people as part of this fundraise. It's ideal for people who are raising anything from $25,000 or $100,000 and they want to keep their table clean. We're very lucky with Chidi because we have an allocation of $250,000. So there is plenty of capital to go around for those who want to invest in her current project, which is Nuru Marrakesh. And I think that's all from me. Is this me or Timmy? Is it you?
I can take it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone. Sorry, evidence that I'm in Nigeria. They're taking the lights. So we have some events coming up. All in-person events, by the way. So first, we're going to be at Black Tech Fest. Joe is going to be speaking at Black Tech Fest, and we're also going to be exhibiting. So please come say hi. You can also get to meet our founder, Joe, and ask any question that you have. We're also going to be in Lagos, still in October. That's on the 16th. We have an event called Macros of Africa's Largest Economy. We're doing this in partnership with Hope Club and the Star Network podcast. It's an event like you have not seen. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Sign up to find out. And then we're going to be in Houston, Texas for Africa House with Founders Connect. Just expect to connect with investors, founders, ecosystem builders, and have fun. So yeah, if you're subscribed to our newsletter, you get all of this information. But if you're not, don't worry. We would add your email to our newsletter. So the email that you get after this event, that's tomorrow. Yeah. And thank you so much for joining us. We've had such a great session. Feel free to share something that you learned online, maybe on Twitter, and tag us. We'd like to see it, but stay connected to us. These are our social media handles. And if you have a question, you can reach out to us on WhatsApp. We'll respond to you as soon as possible. If you're not on our WhatsApp channel, please scan the QR code and join the WhatsApp channel. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
And this is always a good time for people to post their LinkedIn in the comments so that others can connect with you. But you know where to find us. And thank you all very much. Just wanna. All right, thank you all. Enjoy your evening.
All right, we'll leave it on for maybe 2 minutes so everyone can share their LinkedIn handles and can all connect before we end this session.